Hello, classmates and professors. I am Alba Costa, and together with Kedisha Haji, we are going to present the extraordinary story of Mao Niu, a man who struggles to get indigenous children into school and works to achieve that these children can be educated in their mother tongue. And I will also talk about why schools should teach children in their home language. Mao Yeo's story won in 2016 one of the Outlook Inspirations awarded by the BBC. He grew up in the Chittagong Hill Tracts, a region in Bangladesh bordering India and Myanmar, which has a unique landscape surrounded by rolling hills and forested mountains, which are largely uninhabited. There are 12 indigenous communities in this area with culture, tradition, lifestyle, and languages had withstood the test of time. But in the 1960s began a period of ethnic cleansing that ended with the 1997 Peace Accord. During this time, indigenous groups were displaced and the Bangladesh government has settled hundreds of thousands of Bengali people in the Chittagong Hills and thus became the majority of the population in the region. And under the occupation, Bengali has since become the official language. Mao Yeo belongs to the Marma ethnic community and left the school at 6 because he could not understand what the teacher said, and he was beaten with a cane, even though he did not do anything wrong. He remembered his 1 hour walk home from school, crying and suffering the pain of the beatings, and he told his parents that he did not want to go to school anymore. He studied at home. Her mother gave him homework, and he had to pass exams that his mother prepared for him, just like the other children at school. Today, he's currently working on his dissertation at the Harvard Graduate School of Education in Cambridge. Mao Yeo survived the genocide and ethnic cleansing, but he did not know how to write in his own language. And like him, 60% of the Yuma children are illiterate in their own language and drop out of the primary school. Linguistic minority children around the world are forced to learn in a foreign language, in other than their own, and it has been demonstrated that this makes learning an unpleasant experience that leads to passiveness and in silence in the classroom. Not forgetting that children's mother tongue runs a risk of being replaced or disappear. And this phenomenon has been called in 2000 by linguist Sutnap Kangas as submersion, which it means sink or swim. It is like holding learners underwater without teaching them how to swim. Why language loss is so distressing? I am a translator student and I have basic knowledge of linguistic. And although I had heard about those languages considered there, such as Latin, which had been international language for longer than English or Spanish. Words such as linguistic diversity, linguistic human rights, or linguistic genocide are very new for me. Change is the only constant in nature, and language is no exception. In my research, a large number of scholarly and academic works states that around 7,000 languages are still spoken in the world, and about half of them will disappear by the end of this century. And organizations such as MIT, UNESCO, or the National Geographic are warning that between 6,000 and 7,000 languages are currently spoken, and that between 50 and 90% of those will have become extinct by the year 2100. Another research suggests that one language dies every 14 days. So there are a large number of statistics which illustrate how linguistic diversity is endangered. But often, these claims are not supported by the findings, but in statistics that instead of give meaning to the data, are used to sensationalize and confuse. We deal with them every day on the social media or in my case at work. We have to learn to build a post-truth, not with number or statistics. They do not lie, but their interpretation. But I'm not interested in truth as irrelevant, as something that appeal emotions instead of facts. Therefore, I've searched the answer in translation studies. And what I found was how much get lost when language falls in silence. The language does not just allow us to share our thoughts, but is shaped by the culture and environment it speakers live in. Sometimes bilingual speakers use words or expressions of both languages when speak each other because it seems impossible to find the right word or expression in only one of them. Why should we care if languages will die out, and why it is right to think that languages are like a form of life and we must protect diversity linguistic as if it were biological diversity. And Google defines cognition as the action or process of acquiring knowledge and understanding through thought, experience, and the senses. And the next question is how to transmit knowledge without language. Understanding language as a system of symbols and rules that is used for communication. Learning a language started at home, but according to UNESCO statistics, around 40% of the global population are not taught in a language that they understand. Home language shift means break down the link to family and the communication between generations. Mao Yeo and people of his generation did not know how to write in her own language. Through the project Our Golden Hour, he opened a school in 2009 where at first there were 12 students, and 6 years later there are more than 650 children that they learn a native language. He and the members of the project are creating and publishing teaching materials in the endangered languages of the region. The stories that he asked parents and grandparents are being filmed, transcribed, and edited. The old men of the community are grateful to him for it, and because their grandchildren come and talk to them, and they want to hear what the village elders say. The aim of Mao Yeo is also the reason why children should be taught in their native language to improve educational achievement, to strengthen the cultural and family ties, and to avoid that minority languages shift and death. Thanks for watching.